Hello guys, welcome back to Cloud A to Z, and today we are going to uh, go under AWS overview part only, but we will be going to the third point, which is the AWS Five Pillars. And Five Pillars are very important in architecting solutions on Azure or even on on-premise. Also, if you're doing, they are very important because they adhere to a lot of best practices and other stuff, which we'll go through in few minutes. So let's go into them. And AWS Well-Architected framework, what it does say is it gives you a system which actually helps you in setting up your business to a success. Okay, you just follow this AWS architecture framework. You define the components what you're going to use in your infrastructure, or what exactly is your infrastructure as of now, and what you want to build on AWS, and accordingly it would rate, or it would give you suggestions like what you need to improve. Okay, and um, and and while building your solution using AWS Well-Architected framework, it's nothing but this particular tool is already available with the AWS console, and it's for public use. Like if you have an account with AWS, then you can actually use this particular tool and get right suggestions of right resources and components which you can use for all of the alternative resources which you have spent on your on-premise or even on any other public clouds. So if you want to move your workload from your other public cloud to this cloud, this AWS, like you have this particular right set of tool which would help you. And just a note, this video gonna be longer than 20 minutes, I hope. I'll try to drag as much as faster as possible. Okay, let's go ahead and let's see what are the different components of AWS Well-Architected framework. So there are five pillars. So five pillars are the foundation of for making your particular product to a big success or have a long-term view on your product. Okay, so if you have a startup, if you can design your product according to Well-Architected framework, then you are built for the long-term sustenance of your business. So there are five things which are important, where our operational excellence is one, security is the second one, reliability is the third one, and the performance efficiency and cost optimization. These are all the five pillars, I would call as five fields, which or area subjects which we need to consider when you're building a product, or like even when you're building a complete infra on AWS. Okay, so even if you're running your AWS, you can actually go ahead and then improve them by using this particular best practices. So for the first thing, whenever it comes to infrastructure, it's operation excellence. So how much time you are actually, your people or who are maintaining the cloud infrastructure are spending, whether they are spending time on patching resources, whether they're spending time on fight hard with the outages or with the existing existing underlying hardware issues, or any particular service issues, or internal issues, or misconfigurations and other thing. So this is where we need to keep an eye, like you can only improve your business if you excel in your operations. Okay, when you say operational excellence, it's more about like how do you introduce certain processes and procedures so that you go ahead and then automatize a lot of manual processes which were involved. Every cycle, every agile process you're taking, or every cycle you're gonna taking, like this month you're working, if you're doing some manual stuff, how exactly you're gonna convert in the upcoming months that particular manual process into automatize, like use a DevOps process, or you use any automation script or cloud formation script or something like that. And then how you gonna excel in your operations is by just automation. So there are three best practices and tools I would like to talk about, and like I want to, and those three are prepare is one, operate is the second, and evolve. So prepare is like like you have a configurations, and most of the outages which happens due to configurations issues. And if you have a configurations, AWS config is one particular tool which can help you in having a stable configuration, and you just define the configuration, and whatever resources are there, they will try to reach to that particular state whatever you have configured. Okay, so if for example, if you have if you say that you want these many instances in your fleet of the fleet of compute resources, then if you define 2, then the configuration is 2, then it would always maintain the AWS mechanisms, center mechanism services will take care of making it 2, at least then two instances at any point of time. So that is prepare, and operate is like how exactly you keep a watch on what are the activities you're gonna what are the activities are happening. Okay, so like if someone is logging in, and whether he's a right person who is logging in, whether the calls which are coming are the legitimate calls which are coming to your applications or to your resource or to your AWS infrastructure, these are need to be kept under right watch. So for that only you use something called as CloudWatch, Amazon CloudWatch, which is very similar to application insights in Microsoft Azure. And evolve is for like one particular thing where you can use you need to dig deeper into the logs and build queries on top of it to know what exactly the activities are about, what are the anonymity in the logs are about, what exactly or where you're spending your most of amount or time is spent, what are the amount of what are the outages which are coming, whether the outages or your application or your infrastructure is getting or your AWS infrastructure or services are impacted and due to AWS or due to any other region, due to network connectivity or those things. So these sort of logs which would really help you in judging and improve your operational excellence. And as said, like and another pointer is prepare and automate whatever manual processes you have, and then you can achieve an operation excellence for sure. And on top of that, like most of the manual procedure in operation, like the cloud management team in your, who actually are the key persons who know on whom you can judge operational excellence, is them, and they how they are handling the infra provisioning of the cloud infrastructure or AWS infrastructure also matter. If they're doing a manual deployment of infrastructure, then that's bad. That's where only we have services and tools like AWS Cloud Formation. So there are basically pre-built tools also we have, which you can be which your cloud infra team can use, and then they can roll this cloud formation. They do not need to do anything manually. Just with a simple click they'll be able to provision a bigger VM, a bigger configuration, or you can just write all cloud formation for your complex architecture, write once and use many times, I would say. So that's what is operational excellence. And going forward we will see about the security. It's the another second most important pillar out of these 5 pillars of well-architected framework. So security tells about like how exactly or how securely you can save your systems assets while delivering the business value, and like obviously how thoroughly or periodically you have your risk assessment going on, and what are the, in case of any issues happen, what are the mitigation strategies you take. That's a very important, like you can say, like what sort of root cause analysis, what is the depth of root cause analysis you are doing, and how you're making sure that the same issue doesn't happen or reoccur again and again. And there are five best practices and tools around the security in the cloud, especially in the AWS. Like the first is identity and access management. So identity and access management are one particular core component of AWS, I would say, which actually takes care of the user management or the role management or a service principal management. I would say how exactly a particular a user object going to interact with any of the AWS services, right? So that's what is IAM, Internet Access Management. And we have in this category something called as multi-factor authentication as well, which gives sort of two-factor auth which means that it's like storing passwords on cloud or anywhere isn't considered to be a secure thing right now. So what we need to have is, like, you need to have your security password, but once a security password is given in any applications, then they need to be redirected to multi-auth, like for like any other external device. Like, it's not the external device can be a call to your mobile phone, or an SMS to mobile phone, or a notification to an authenticator app in your mobile. So that would help you safeguard on a remote hacking, or get your password get compromised by a hacker or someone who is sitting remotely and trying to control and log into your cloud infrastructure with your particular credentials. And then we have AWS organizations, and if you go deeper into AWS organization, which I would say is like this especially centrally governs your complete environment as you grow. And it's very important because as a startup, from going from a startup to large enterprise, you need to have a lot of responsibility increase over the time. Management of resources, how you exactly control access of each person's, what are the compliances you are following or not, and what are the security rules or governance you have placed in your accounts or across environments, and how exactly you share your resources among your AWS accounts. So those also matters. And one particular example I would say is like when you grow big, it's really hard to maintain a lot of different environments, because your particular single organization may have different applications related to different department. Like finance department may have 11 to 12 applications their own, and you don't want to club them with your development team, or with any of your R&D or cloud excellence team, right? So the AWS organization will plays a vital role in here. And also AWS organization has introduced some of the features, like you can create accounts, you can create groups, users according to business needs, and it can be done with a single click in AWS organization. But instead, if you do without using AWS organization, you need to do all manual process. So that's what where operational excellence also comes apart. Let's go back. And then after IAM, we will be talking about detective controls, and this thing, like the tool talks about, or the best practices talk about, like how exactly you want to detect any particular anonymity, or wrong activity, or suspicious activity on your particular AWS resources or on your AWS services. They can be like DDoS attacks or SQL injections or any particular attacks which are happening. How exactly you gonna recognize them at an early time? So for that, we can use CloudTrail, AWS CloudTrail, and AWS CloudTrail seeks out the anonymity from the logs. It's very similar to Azure log analytics, where you dump all the logs from all the different services, and then you can actually go and check or write query and get any anonymous activity or activity from an anonymous person. Okay, and the other thing is like AWS config and configurations are, if you can set up right configuration and secure those configuration, it's very important, because if the configurations are stolen, then it's a big risk. And there is something called as AWS or Amazon Guard Duty, and Amazon Guard Duty helps in it's sort of a threat protection service that continuously monitors every malicious activity and unauthorized behavior, or like IAM logins or something on your AWS accounts, and on your workloads, and even on the data stored inside the Amazon S3. It's a very complementary service from AWS, and why I said complementary, because it uses a lot of machine learning and anomaly detection and integrated threat intelligence, which actually prioritize any potential threats and alerts you. Okay, and you can to set your own custom alerts for this. If you see if your guard duty sees any anonymity, even for the lowest level of anonymity as well, you can do that by integrating with CloudWatch events. So you can have on the CloudWatch events, you can have guard duty, and guard duty will take care of reading it, and then It can read out of your 10 billions of events across your multiple AWS data sources, such as even from the CloudTrail, from the CloudWatch, from even it can be used on the Amazon VPC logs, flow logs, and DNS logs. And the setup is very easy, just few clicks. Let's go back, and that's what is about detective controls. And infrastructure protection is like how exactly you can protect, or how secure you can protect your infrastructure. So yes, VPC is one particular option, virtual private cloud, which the name itself has a meaning, like it's a different cloud inside AWS. Okay, so you have a cloud in the cloud. So with you have a different environment, you can set up different environment inside the cloud itself, so which is secure for you, or you can have your on-premise get connected to that particular virtual private cloud. And you have something called as Amazon Cloudfront with AWS Shield is also, which also protects from infrastructure attacks on the infrastructure. And you have web application firewall as well. And so if you want to go a little bit more about AWS Shield, so AWS Shield is a sort of it's a managed service. It's a sort of managed distributed DDoS protection service that safeguards your applications running on AWS from the DDoS attacks. And the customer benefit is like so all of the customers as of now on AWS, if you have an account, if you're running your applications, you're automatically shielded with the standard version of AWS Shield. And but there are no additional charges. And there is another version, and which is basically asked in an exam as well. In cloud practitioner exam it was asked, and I'm expecting it would be asked in solution architect as well. So this is AWS Shield standard with Amazon Cloudfront. Okay, and there are other particular version. If you use the standard version with the Cloudfront, it actually helps you in helps you in protecting your Amazon Cloudfront and Amazon Route 53 from the layer 3 and layer 4 attacks. And that's very good, because I think you need to have a separate set of tools for safeguarding at layer 3 and layer 4. But yeah, Amazon itself is providing this particular facility from AWS Shield, via AWS Shield, I can say. And there was also infrastructure protection we were talking about. We want to talk about AWS Web Application Firewall. And AWS Web Application Firewall, it helps your web application from, or your APIs which you have hosted and exposed it publicly. And it will help from common web exploits, which are very common exploits, like like the SQL injection, I can say. And even like what I can say is, like, if someone is doing a load testing on your particular APIs, that also it can be really you can block it. And then because the load testing can be done by you or your internal team, not by any public vendors, right? Any public or any hackers. So you can protect from them. You can protect from SQL injection, cross-site scripting, and even for any unusual traffic, like I said about if someone is carrying a load testing on your particular applications or on your APIs. So it's very easy to enable. It's few clicks process of enabling it, and you can use a default managed rules as well, which has good pre-configured rules for protecting you against all of the generalized and general web exploits. Okay, so that's what is AWS Web Application Firewall. And going back into data protection, we are not going in deeper onto the topics, because this is an overview, and we are preparing for the exam, so that's why they are not deeper. And data protection, I would say, like we have a lot of option for data protection. Like we can do encryption at rest on EBS, on S3, and on Amazon RDS. Encryptions are there which you can adopt, and so that you can avoid. And we have something called as Amazon Macy. And Amazon Macy is a service which actually is a fully managed data security and data privacy service, which uses machine learning again, and pattern matching to discover and protect sensitive data in AWS. So for example, if you have something some P2 data or personal identifiable information data, like it's an example of a credit card data which you are e-commerce website has saved inside your S3 bucket or inside your S3 storage, then those sort of data, it actually, Amazon Macy goes, scans, and mentions whether if a user has wrongly inserted that data and how he can protect that particular data. So many times, users don't realize and they push the data, and these are very important because when it comes to geographic government rules and regulations like HIPAA or any GDPR policies, and as in Europe, it's very constrained. You can't actually go ahead and keep customer data in an open format without an encrypted format in any storage or any of the services. So there are a lot of benefits, like sensitive data at scale. Even you have billions of data, like Macy can go scan and give you that, like, pause, you have left your sensitive data here, and it generates a report and give it to the user. And visibility, obviously, you will have, because since you are doing sort of compliance and auditing by yourself before an auditing company comes and screw you up. And it's easy to set up and manage, as well as it's just a few steps away with a few clicks. And going ahead, and in data protection also, the key managements like the protection of your secrets, keys, which or connection strings or your certificates are very important, and it can be done using AWS key management service, and which is highly available service. And most of the services, internal services, they use KMS. They are using KMS to store their like secret data or connection strings on this particular service, and then use it from there. And moving ahead, incident response. So incident response is how quickly or how exactly we can set up alerts on any of the incidents which are going to happen, proactively how we're going to tackle it. So if we have something called as Amazon CloudWatch events, then any anonymity, we can actually increase in the traffic or increase in the load on the EC2 instance. Those logs can be trapped into CloudWatch, and then we can have a query which can send and create an alert to the service owner, product owner, and then they would be ready for the incident. And going ahead, we will talk about reliability. It's a third pillar of AWS Well-Architected framework. So what exactly is reliability? So the reliability in general is it's a point in time, what I can say is it's how much time you can give a system to recover quickly from any of the infrastructure disruption, infrastructure or service disruptions, dynamically, how you can provision another resource so that you can meet the demand of the scale of traffic which is coming and hitting your applications, and how you're gonna mitigate from disruptions and misconfigurations or any transient network issues. So if you have something issues on the one particular availability zone where your application is hosted, and how exactly you're gonna tackle it, if how you can fail over to the next or your passive network, passive infrastructure, or what I can say is a backup infrastructure which you have. And that's what is reliability is about. How exactly your services are reliable, how much they are more reliable, and how you can define or strengthen your reliability portion of your architecture is by following these three best practices. The first is a foundation. Foundations are how exactly you are doing the user management, the resource management, role management, permissions, how exactly you're tackling, and who can access, who cannot access, and what is the boundaries we have set from outside attacks, and there's something called Trusted Advisor as well, which we'll go through. And for foundation, there are tools like IAM, Amazon VPC, Amazon AWS Shield, which we have discussed. These are all things which you can use for setting up your foundation strong. And if you go towards AWS Trusted Advisor, and it's again an online tool that provides a real-time guidance to you and help you provision your resources with all of the AWS best practices on AWS. Okay, so So they have few of the the basic plan, and the business support plan is also there. So the AWS basic support, what it does is like even the developer support customers, which means that if you have a basic subscription or developer subscription, means you have created an account with developer type 1, where you get 24 you get a support on the business time, business weekends, business weekdays. So those sort of account are called as AWS developer support accounts. And so the AWS basic support and the AWS developer support customers, they get to do 6 security checks. They can do the 6 security checks on they can do the 6 security checks on S3 bucket, S3 bucket permissions and security groups, and then they can do on IAM, they can do on MFA on root account, and they can do on EBS public snapshots and RDS public snapshots. And and the limit checks are only 50 in the with this particular two plans. But if you go with AWS business support and AWS enterprise support plan, you have 115 trusted advisor checks, irrespective of the 6 security checks which you get from the basic and the developer one. And in out of this 115, we have 14 cost optimization, 17 security, and 24 fault tolerance, and 10 performance, and 50 service limit checks, which you will be having, and you will get alerts for if you cross certain threshold, or if you don't succeed or pass this particular security checks from the trusted advisor. So how exactly it would look is like this is how it would you know it would look. It would say in your well architecture framework, it will show up this particular graphs, how exactly your particular framework we rate like it's getting rated. Okay. And cost optimization is how much money you're able to save, so we will talk about them. So the benefits are with the trusted advisor is like you can use this with well architected framework itself, and this would rate you on these particular 5 pillars. So you must go and try and read a little deeper on this particular topic. I would suggest before appearing for the exam. And so yes, so after this foundations, we move to change management. And change management is like what are the changes you are doing, patch management, other thing, everything, configuration management, or keys rotation, secret rotation, everything comes in this. And there are good tools which keeps a track on all these activities and other related things. You can use CloudTrail, you can use AWS config for the configuration itself, you can use auto scaling, which provides a better way to configure anything. Like if you want to scale your resources from 2 to 3 instead of you going and manually changing, like sometimes if you want to scale, like due to manual intervention, they may, instead of scaling 99 resources, you may go ahead and scale just 9 resources, because a manual intervention is required where you're manually entering a value. But if you have an auto scaling where you have defined it once, then it would take care, the configurations would be applied at standard at all time. And you have CloudWatch to take care and track the activities. And next, moving forward, is failure management. So failure management is like AWS Cloud Formation, Amazon S3, Amazon KMS, and Amazon Glacier. We can use in case like you can set up a backup on S3, you can have a backup on Glacier, and those things we can use as a part of failure management. Or you can have a cloud formation script which can bring up your site B if a site A is crashed due to disaster or something, or it has failed due to certain outage or something like that. So you can use these particular services as part of taking care of failure management in your reliability section of AWS Well-Architected framework. And moving ahead, I know it's this recording is longer, but yes, they are very important inputs you're getting. And performance efficiency is the other particular parameter where it says about the ability to use computing resource efficiently. to meet system requirements and to maintain the efficiency as demand changes and technologies evolve. So if you have designed something 2 years back, it should not uh, get get expired or get outdated the very next year, for coming next years, right? So that's very bad design. So in order to make your particular architecture more performance or efficiency oriented and technology agnostic, so that if any new technology comes, it would be easily pluggable. So for that only there are few services from AWS and best practices. The categories are like selection, review, monitoring, and trade-offs. Selection is one thing, where what sort of features you're selecting from AWS if you're making a move to AWS. Okay, so for compute, whether you have selected auto scaling or not, because your traffic may rise in the future. You can't predict, like you have right now, around thousands or 2,000 consistent users. There may be lakhs of users in coming future. So auto scaling is one feature for compute if you have easy to instance running. And Amazon EBS and S3 for storage, where there are class of storage and EBS volumes which you can use, and you need to be you should choose a right selection of classes of these particular storages. Otherwise, after keeping all your data, it would be pretty hard to migrate to a new or advanced or different class of storage. And Amazon RDS and DynamoDB for database, because the RDS and DynamoDB being globally they have available, they have fault tolerant systems. They are available a lot resilient services than using a normal relational database system on a Linux system or something on a EC2 instance itself. So Amazon RDS are made for even for built for failure tolerant. Okay, in case of any failure happens, they have another set of instances running and serving the request, so your application will never be down. So that is one thing. And you have Route 53 VPC and AWS Direct Connect for network. As a what I can say is how they are important, while selecting for these particular network resources as well. Because what happens is if you're new and you want to migrate your workload data from your on-premise to Azure, or AWS or any of the public vendor, right? So in that case, what happens is you want to take your data. How exactly you want to take your data? Whether you're gonna connect your particular on-premise network with a cloud network, with a AWS network, with a VPC, or with a private link, or what exactly you're gonna do. Okay, so because it depends. If you have let's take an example, if you have a data in one particular availability zone, you have set up your network and you have your data, everything moved on to a cloud, and you realize you have moved on to a wrong availability zone, and for making it more reliable, you also want to on another availability zone. So in case you transfer the data from the availability zone to availability zone, that may be little a cheaper option, but again it's a bit pricey. And but if you but if you take care or take certain actions earlier at the stage of your migration, that would be very good. And even there are cases where you have data, and where you are writing data onto another availability zone via the internet, not with the direct connect or not with the private link or something like that. In that case, because your data is going out of leaving the AWS infrastructure, which is for outgoing, there's a charge on the network of data, amount of data which is going outside your AWS network, and it's again entering into the another availability zone. So this is going to be a lot pricey than the other one which I was talking about. So these are things, and selections are important before setting up or finalizing your architecture. And review. So another thing is review, how exactly you want to review whether you are adhering to a right practice or best practices of performance oriented architecture which you have built, and it's for the performance workload is by going to AWS blogs and what's new section on the website, and then go and check what are the new best practices or the new services or alternate services which have been introduced, or new class of services which have introduced on in S3, in the S3 for storage or EBS or RDS. So they would matter. And going ahead, monitoring. So monitoring is um, like you can see the performance of your the number of requests you're coming which are coming to your applications or your product or services, or the activity logs, everything you can see. And if you see that there is the latency in from the users who are trying to connect from different region to your place, then setting up a Cloudfront or setting up another service in that particular region would be a great idea. That you can do if you have a right monitoring which can keep track on this even when you are not available at the office. And that can be achieved by CloudWatch. So trade-offs is one more thing. Like, we are talking about a lot of best practices and everything, but what is the negative impact which it can create if you are trying to choose a lot of services, or if you're choosing an Y service instead of X service? What are the trade-off you're gonna make? What is a probably what is a I can say is what is a availability, the SLAs you're gonna decrease or you're gonna lose as comparability to the comparing to a redundancy or durability, right? So those matters and trade-offs are very important, and you can calculate using this particular services. Okay, so if you go with the AWS Snowball, what is the trade-off you're gonna make if you're not, because Snowball is again like it takes time to take your data from point A to point B, point A for your on-premise to AWS own data center, and then they install it back, dump the data into the storage or somewhere, and it's gonna take. And if you're making your services as only RDS, only read replicas, so what is the impact it gonna be? And if you're setting up any particular DR solution for your services using any of the services from Amazon, what is the trade-off you're gonna make if you're doing that? Okay. So those are the things which need to, like, trade-off can be one particular trade-off I can say is like if you have a data constraint, like the data can't go outside the EMEA region or outside one particular availability zone or one particular region itself, the data can't go, you can't have a disaster recovery system or infrastructure set up on region 2 or in from EMEA. If you want to set up a DR strategy across region, then it won't be possible, or you can't do that because the government do not allow you to do your data to span across regions. So those are the trade-offs which you need to calculate before adopting or getting or choosing a service. And last but not the least, the cost optimization. Cost optimization is cost is everything. Once you made up your mind to move to AWS, so the ability to avoid or eliminate unneeded costs or suboptimal resources, like I would say, is like frugality is one particular for one principle out of the 14 principles at Amazon. So frugality is one particular thing, like where you do not overspend money where it isn't required at all. Okay, so I would say like overusing or overutilizing or over provisioning resources is very bad. So that's where cost optimization is need to be taken care. And it's not possible, right, a particular man to sit on each of the services and to account to see consistently like whether this particular application team is not using a particular services than the required, or if they have provisioned extra large machine, whether they are using it or not. Okay, so for that only we have good practice, good set of tools at AWS which you can use and then just enable, and then it would keep on provoking if you are crossing, if you are underutilizing or if you're overutilizing your resources. So one particular tool is like Cost Explorer. So cost effective resources, you can do that using Cost Explorer. So if you go to the AWS Cost Explorer, so it's an easy to use interface, and it gives you visualizations, tools, and will help you understand your complete cost and usage over time. Like you can see around 1 years of data or 1 years of usage, how exactly you're using, and it can give you insight on a particular department, how they have adapted to cloud, or how much they use the cloud components, which cloud services with, and you can set up the business or forecast your businesses accordingly. So this is very important for a lot of different purposes as well. And the cost explorer will also give you, help you in identify trends, how exactly the data is getting, usage data on which particular services are getting used more on AWS or any other particular services which you are using. And it would also pinpoint any particular peak abnormalities of cost usage, like if there is a particular service which is having a straight spike of usage suddenly, okay, and that's a possibility, like somebody is trying to send a abnormal request, okay, so you can go and check the abnormality of that request, whether they are legitimate or not, and that can be easily seen in a cost explorer. And going back, we have a Trusted Advisor, as we discussed, which we can use Amazon Aurora for RDS, because it's sort of a service where you do not have an infra server properly, where you're not managing anything, and you will be only charged for what you are using and the data, what the amount of data you're storing in the tables of Aurora. And AWS Direct Connect and Amazon Cloudfront is also one particular resources, cost-effective resources, because with Cloudfront, what you are doing is like you catching your media, your videos, and a lot of data, and like data eating medias, right? So if you have that particular video sitting in somewhere in American region, and if a EMEA customer is trying to access it every time, then it would be a lot of reads and writes which are happening onto the storage, right? So in order to avoid that, the CloudFront would cache that particular video in the CloudFront or images in there, and then it would just provide. So it's actually saving a lot of data, like egress and ingress. And going forward, we have matching supply and demand, one particular category where the auto scaling comes in. The auto scaling, we have auto scaling for a lot of different things. We have with EKs, we have auto scaling with EC2 instances, we have auto scaling with other particular services as well, and it would just scale up your resources according to your demand. So it can be a scale out, it can be a scale up, but mostly when we talk about auto scaling, we talk about scale out. Scale out is nothing but adding more instances to your existing EC2 instances fleet or something like that. And expenditure awareness is like you always need to know like what are the expenditures you are, or the amount of usage is being done by your application team. Like sometimes unnecessarily they would have forgot their machine keeping up and running over the weekend, and that would be pretty bad, right? You can get an insight about this from Cost Explorer and also with the AWS budgets. So AWS budgets give you the ability to set custom budgets that alert you when your costs or usage exceed, or whatever you forecasted amount. If you have forecasted at $200, if you had exceeded that particular $200 over a week, then that budgeted amount, like you cross the budgeted amount, and you can intimate the team that like you can allow this time, but not every time you should cross the budgeted amount. So it's a very good to keep a check on at the lower level, so that the utilization will be done, or overutilization or underutilization can be avoided. You can also use AWS budget to set reservation utilization, which is sort of the underutilization part I was saying, like where you will get the receive alerts when if nobody's using an EC2 instance and the CPU levels are falling to 5 or 2%, which means that nobody's logging in, nobody's running anything onto it, and it's idly sitting, and you are just paying to AWS or to anyone, right? So that's one is that. So you can take care AWS, you can set up AWS budgets and set away reservation utilization, so that it would alert the team who have forgot to switch or turn off their EC2 instance. and at present it is supported for these particular services like Amazon EC2, RDS, Redshift, Elastic Cache, and Elasticsearch. So these are the things, and let's go back. And you can optimize over time, and optimize over time is like with improvement, with the new technologies involved, with the new development technology, with the new development IDs, development technologies involved, like serverless and other particular things coming on. You need to keep on optimizing or choose for resources which can, the services which can be less cost effective. Okay, so like if you're using an EC2 instance, if the same job can be done over the by using AWS Lambda with a serverless function, why don't you go ahead and do it? So that is optimizing over time with the new technologies and trend. And so this I know it's long, around 45 minutes. I will go ahead and stop it, and I would also thanks again for the tutorials dozo for putting all the documents in the right place so that we can prep for the exam. Thank you, and meet you on the next section of my video, and have a great day. Bye bye.